I love watching TV. It gives me something to do whenever I have nothing to do. And I love watching my favorite TV shows whenever they're on. And eventually this got me thinking. The shows I watch are pretty much amazing to me, but what about the shows that are really underrated? For every House and every Simpsons, there are always like 20 other shows that nobody even bothers to know about. So one day I decided to make up a list like this. So today, here are my top 13 most underrated TV shows. The reason it's top 13 is because they're unlucky enough to be underappreciated. I mean, they don't have to be completely underappreciated. They're underrated or underwatched. So let's do this thing! Number 13. Grounded for Life. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never seen or heard of this show until last year. The reason I know about it now is because of a guy who's gonna be one of my conspiracy episodes. Every time I'm on the internet, I always come back to this show, and one day I decided, I'll give it and take a look. I watched the first few episodes of the first season, and I gotta admit, I was kinda disappointed. It's just your average family comedy. But then again, this show did come out in 2001, and comedies were different times back then. But again, it's your basic average family comedy. Everything is average. The characters are average, the setting is average, even the hilarious flashbacks to make everything funny is average. I mean, take a look at this scene.
Mrs. Del Vecchio was the hottest mom in the history of Staten Island.
Thank you for helping me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very nice of you. Hi.
Yeah, here you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, it's kind of hot out. Can I come in and have a glass of lemonade?
Oh, I don't have any lemonade. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you do. You bought some. It's in your bag.
Oh, I don't have any clean glasses. Thank you so much, okay? Bye.
Oh,
Okay, flashbacks are not supposed to take this long, and they're not supposed to be this dull. They're supposed to be quick and to the point, not go on for hours and hours. They're supposed to follow the point like that other show who did it absolutely perfectly. The only thing I kind of like about the show is the character named Eddie, and that's because he doesn't give a straight answer to anybody and he's kind of weird. You know, just like that other show. I mean, he's the only original person who can actually do a joke. I mean, look at this scene.
Eddie, where the hell did you get $150 cash?
well, I don't ask you where you get your money.
I got a job.
I didn't ask.
Okay, that was kind of funny, but the rest really isn't. Now, you may be wondering, if I haven't heard of the show and I don't think it's funny, why is it on this list? It's because nobody ever talks about this show. I mean, look, this show lasted 5 seasons. That's long enough for anybody to remember it. Did it lay forgotten somewhere? But again, this TV show was in a lot of trouble. Yeah, it lasted half a decade, but do you really want to know what happened behind the scenes? Grounded for Life debuted in 2001 on that stupid network also known as. While the show was on this network, it averaged about 8 million viewers per week. This would be a huge success for a major studio like Fox, right? Wrong! Because 2 episodes into the 3rd season, Fox decided to cancel the show. You guys are fucking idiots. NBC would kill for those kind of numbers. So the show got canceled by one network and picked up by another. Enter the WB, the network that actually picked it up for the remaining series. The only problem is that this network didn't exactly do that well in the ratings, causing Grounded for Life to only have 2 million viewers a week, causing the network to mercifully pull the plug for the final time. Grounded for Life, a show that was watched but underappreciated to this day. Number 12. Kids in the Hall. This show is the Canadian version of Saturday Night Live. Except this show had a small budget and there were only 5 people performing on the show, and they still keep it fresh and funny. All the characters they make up are pretty funny and well thought out. In this show there is never a dull moment. Even if there were sketches, they're pretty entertaining. I mean, come on, you got guys dressing up as women, the most bizarre characters straight out of a Far Side comic, and the different styles of comedy can appeal to anybody. I mean, come on, everybody has to have at least a few characters that they like, even if you barely caught on with the show. My personal favorite sketch from the show was the Sizzler Sisters, who were played by Dave Foley and Kevin McDonald, who play them with just fabulous delight. These are 2 clearly insane people who wear bad wigs with tag still on them and pajamas. That is so out of this world, and yet I still think it's funny. I mean, listen to their dialogue.
Good afternoon, freaks. I'm Jerry Sizzler. This is my sister.
Jerry Sizzler. We are, of course, two armed and dangerous sisters, and not two clearly insane people.
That is so stupid and so directly out of this world that I just can't stop laughing at this. I know I lost it when I saw this part.
Very clever. Jerry, coppers!
No, Jerry, that sounds like the police.
That's even worse. Let's go, Jerry!
That was hilarious, and that's what made the show work. It's full of stupid moments, but it's one of those moments where you can't help but laugh. So why do I think the show is completely underrated? America. They put aside their time to watch a show like SCTV, but not make the time to see a show that was inspired by it. America is cruel. It's like they've seen one Canadian show and figured they've seen them all. Now, to be fair, I've never saw an episode of SCTV, but why bother when I have something I know perfectly by my side? Oh, hell yeah. There are a few hit-and-miss sketches on this show, and I don't think it appeals to everyone, but it's so surreal at times that you can't help but wonder where they came from. The word surreal in huge-ass letters. It's weird, it's over the top, it's underrated, it's Kids in the Hall. A show which Canadians love, but America somehow forgot about. And not to mention an insanely unforgettable theme song. Every day during high school, this would be the song I'd listen to every morning when I got up. And I still like it today. With a great theme song and a great show, it shouldn't have been underrated. Number 11. True Calling. I will say this, I did watch this show, and when I did at first, it was kind of interesting. It's about a young woman who works in a morgue, and, if it wasn't creepy enough, something like this spontaneously happens. The dead body actually comes back to life, says they need her help, then she goes back in time in 24 hours to save them. I'll be honest, that sounds so sweet it's not even funny. Having dead people come back to life and you have to help them and you go back in time to change what happened? That is amazing. How could this not catch on? Anybody will want this power. As much as this show's premise sounds amazing, it was kind of cheesy. Well, I don't like it as much as I used to when I watched this again recently, but it's because of the damn theme song. I mean, seriously. And also, it looks like a parody of something serious. That's totally a horrible thing. And I guess a bunch of people thought the same way because this show got cancelled after 3 seasons. Every time that theme song would come on, I would press mute every time it came on. Now that I realize it, I don't like it as much as I used to. Now I think of it as pure cheese and nostalgia, but why do I think this is underrated? Again, because nobody talks about this show. Sure, it lasted about 2 or 3 seasons. Come on, it's about a girl with supernatural powers who can go back in time to save dead people. Wouldn't you want that? Working at a morgue? Seeing some dead bodies come to life? I know zombie lovers would love that. By the way, as for the guy she works for on this show, tell me if he seems familiar.
I know more than you think I know, True. About what you can do.
Morning drive-by radio DJ giving a eulogy to. Yeah, Brad was a pretty good guy. Loved Joan Osborne.
That's right, Zach Galifianakis was on the show. Wow! And what's strange is that he has the biggest career out of everybody on the show. That's a bit of a head scratcher. And I don't know if this is true or not, but he said this show was a piece of garbage. To me, it was mediocre at best. If everything was more tightened, the show would have been still on. The key word to that sentence is would have been. But overall, for all its flaws, it's still a solid show. Watch 2 episodes once in a while and you'll probably be fine. True Calling, a show that should have had a true chance, but it was truly underrated. I hate that song so much. Number 10. Undergrads. I never really watched this show because I always found something else to watch. But then again, I was still in elementary school when this show came on, so I didn't really pay attention to it. but as I do this review, I only watched one full episode. That's it. It's not a bad show, and a couple of times it made me laugh, but I don't really understand the purpose of the show. It's about college life. That's it. People who are fans of the show are going to be pissed off for me saying that. Again, I'm not really a big fan of this show, because the idea of a show or a movie about college life has been done to death. This is pretty much the cartoon version of National Lampoon's Animal House. People, it's been done! So the show centers around 4 lifelong friends who go to different colleges eventually. But they keep in touch by visits and the computer. First you got Nitz, the reasonable one who's apparently the straight guy in the group, also the normal one in here. And he has the hots for some other girl. Then you got Rocco, the stereotypical frat boy who's always getting drunk and getting into a lot of trouble. Then you got Cal, who I think is gay but he always gets girls. And of course you got Gimpy, the burn victim experiment gone wrong. Okay, that's not exactly what he is. But if you watch the show for the first time, you probably think so. No, he's just a stereotypical nerd who never comes out of his campus room. You know, like a real nerd. So why did I put it on this list? Because there was supposed to be a second season and it never happened. In fact, the very last episode, it clearly says that there's gonna be a second season. That's like giving people a movie, give a cliffhanger ending to that, and there will never be a sequel to it. Well, this is Undergrads, a show that's underrated, just like any undergraduate.